You need to tighten your belt. You need to invest in this budget. The biggest mistake is not structuring your expenses. Banks won't be interested. High financial literacy of the population. These are traps. You fool, credit friends. I would like to address you now first. Before I answer Alexis' questions, I urge each of you to write to me in the comments the topics you would like me to cover. Otherwise, Alex chooses all the topics. Write your suggestions, waiting for your proposal.
People often complain that no matter the salary, they never have enough money. People get paid, a couple of days go by, and the money is already gone. You can call it the main mistake people make. Betraying money.
The biggest mistake, not structuring your expenses. For example, no matter how much money there is, I handle my hygiene matters. I invest money in education or something, or into reserves. This is the biggest mistake. That way, you are funding what is now, and you are not funding anything for tomorrow, and not funding anything at all. So it's very important at this moment, upon hearing this video, I felt something familiar. Maybe someone has already faced a similar situation. Many times when they say there are no reserves, I'm acting very tactically. But all the time, like a hamster on a wheel, nothing desirable is happening to me. These are all symptoms. When it's time to just say stop. Just stop. Get a piece of paper.
So you didn't write.
100 units. And write that I allow myself no more than 50, for example, units to spend on food, blood, regarding the meeting. That's it. For example, I will have 30 units reserved for education, development and entertainment, and 20% will it be creating unforeseen reserves. Then I get, for example, 100,000 rubles. That's it. I have 50,000 rubles for food, shelter, and so on. What should I do with my food and blood? Take up more than 50,000 rubles. Then I need to tighten my belt. We need to move to an apartment, less, and so on. We need to fit into this budget. Or what to do? Either increase the income. Underfunding of these two topics. Unexpected expenses and funds for development. This, I would say, is a mistake. Structure is more likely the ability to see that you don't have. These expense items are funded. I show in detail what affects these 100,000s. Here's this amount. If you invest money in personal growth, education, and so on, your 100,000 can turn into 200. If you don't invest anything, your 100,000, but they will at best remain 100,000, or like maybe growing too slow. It is very dangerous to stay in such a situation. Dangerous not to invest in development. There is a very simple rule of life. Even if everything is good for you now, things are going well and so on. You are not developing and not saving money. Some event will happen, a black swan, no matter what it's called. Such a moment, all your affairs will fall apart. Everything will be very bad for you, and you won't have time to react because you are not prepared. You have no reserves, and you will burn out and die. And so on. It's very absurd. Listen, once there was a story on the rooftops. I earned 1,400 rubles for the season, I remember it clearly. The devil tempted me, I bought sweaters, some kind of synthetic stuff. So I broke the structuring rules, 1,400 rubles. I used all those 1,400 rubles on a risky operation and lost everything. I'll say right away of these sweaters, and I couldn't sell any of them. So I broke the spending rules, and then I, generally speaking, well, You could say,
Choose the
even
ads.
though it's autumn, there was like no money. No, and there was nothing to wear because those synthetic sweaters, they shrank to the size of some children's clothes. In short, it was a complete nightmare, basically. I don't even want to talk about it, but it was a mistake. Violation of structuring and financing. I took such a bet, all or nothing, and as a result, it disappeared, and I didn't feel very well.
How long ago did they talk about the expense structure? You said that if we fit into a certain category, we need to tighten up and cut those expenses. But some people think that cutting expenses is a bad strategy, and instead, you should focus on increasing income. What do you think about this?
I support this theory, but here is a nuance how to increase income. You need to look at the expense structure here. If my current expense structure isn't sufficient,
On expenses
allows me to increase my income, so I got caught in a trap. So what do? I take the current structure, expenses increase their expenses for what allows me to increase my income. Then the following automatically arises in my structure. Expense item related to development, expense related to reserves just in case, because if my expense structure is zero or very low right now, expenses related to development, my income is unlikely to increase.
Right now, you can afford not to skimp on anything. But is there food you prefer not to spend money on?
Actually, things, they clutter our lives. Well, they definitely clutter mine. The more things you have, the more mess it creates. So I hold myself back from adding new things. Maybe I can do something else there. To buy.
You get what I mean.
I will buy, purchase it, and enjoy the moment. Shopping, being possessed by something. It will change later. It's a huge disappointment that I now we need to think about how to protect this, how to repair this, how to maintain it, where to put it, where I say, well, I want some new car. I said, well, rent it to me for 2 weeks. I'll take a ride. I'll be satisfied. Curiosity there. Well, usually after 2 weeks, he says, what is it? Take it away because it just clutters the yard.
What things will you definitely not skimp on?
Sunshine.
Examples aren't that important.
Yes. It's just very important what kind of environment I'm in. I don't skimp on that. I constantly invest in it. I bear expenses, conscious expenses to create and be part of, for example, a community and create the same community around you. People among whom I feel good because I know that my thoughts, they are not even me. What's here? The body, such a shell, sensory, thoughts, feelings, practices of people who, well, in the area where I live, to be continued, somewhere around $100,000 a month. Well, it's kind of like my